Well, howdy there, daylight burners. Happy Wednesday. Uh-oh. I don't know what's going on. Hold on. All right, we're back. Happy Wednesday. Hope is it no. Fuck. That'll be Thursday, Friday. Everybody that tunes in tomorrow. Hope it's been a long week already. But Aaron couldn't make it today. He's a bitch ass as usual. But that's all. It's all well and good. I thought you guys might need some good news to start the week. So, gonna start off with a piece of news from DonaldJTrump.com, and I'm telling you guys, go to DonaldJTrump.com, click on news, and then anytime you see a headline that says "Statement by Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States of America," it's gold. It's basically his Twitter feed, but just on his website since Twitter doesn't allow him. Anyhow, with an approval rating of 19% in Wyoming, people are wise to Liz Cheney. She is a threat to free and fair elections, which are the cornerstone of our country, because she caved so easily on the crime of the century. She is happy to join the Democrats in the unselect committee, the next Russia hoax, and spread more of their lies. Cheney is far more unpopular than her father, who just lost his position as the least popular vice president in American history to Kamala Harris. Democrats would never put up with a Liz Cheney in their ranks. If we had a free and fair media instead of a corrupt media, those election results would have never been allowed to happen. The proof of irregularities and fraud is massive. Signed, Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States. I do miss him on Twitter. It was probably his downfall as a president. But God damn it, was he funny. God, he was funny. Anyhow, it sounds like he is probably going to run again, as if there was any doubt beforehand. Here is a article from Newsweek, and headline: Trump says we'll be back in Veterans Day video recorded in room resembling Oval Office. Typical Trump fashion, made his own Oval Office, probably more tremendous, more magnificent. Former President Donald Trump promised we'll be back stronger than ever, while Veterans Day message from a room resembling the Oval Office. On this Veterans Day, I'd like to pay tribute to all those incredible people, and you are indeed incredible people, who serve so well and so strong and so powerfully in the States Armed Forces, Trump said during a video. We love you, our nation respects you, the world, and we will come back. Our country has gone through a lot. The last period of time has been very, very, and what you had to watch, watching what you had to watch. But the country will be back stronger than ever. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you. Trump was seated behind a large desk while wearing a dark suit and red tie for the duration of 38-second video, which would have been recorded in a room that looked like White House's Oval Office. Blah blah blah. Anyhow, Trump's running again, and that probably suits the media best as well. Now they'll have a boogeyman to shout and scream about again. sticking on the Trump front, apparently there's a big fight over the January 6th commission and the White House, and they want presidential records or administration records from January 6th, and because insurrection and whatnot, but they're really going hard at it, and Trump's trying to invoke executive privilege, which I don't know the whole mechanism behind that. I know there's I think the way I understood it, and I have no idea how valid any of this is, but the way I understood it, that a former president can request to invoke executive privilege, but the sitting president is the one who decides whether or not to actually invoke said privilege. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know but of course, in typical American fashion, America, Trump wants executive privilege on this. Biden is going to deny him, I guess, or maybe not. I don't know. But the January 6th commission is demanding a bunch, and actually threatening contempt of Congress, which I think that problems fairly regularly. But January 6th panel demands Meadows testify Friday or risk contempt charges. This is from The Hill, as you can see. If you're just listening tomorrow, you can watch these live from time to time on Facebook and YouTube. YouTube, I usually have a video up. If I'm live, it's on Facebook and YouTube both. But anyhow, January 6th panel demands Meadows testify Friday or risk contempt charge. House Select Committee investigating January 6th Capitol riot is demanding former Trump White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows testify before the panel on Friday or risk potential contempt charges. The committee subpoenaed Meadows and other former Trump administration officials in September for documents and testimony. The letter indicates some remarkable turnaround from just days ago. Was said to still be engaging with the committee. Representative Benny Thompson, Democrat from Mississippi, chairman of the panel, said in a letter to Meadows' attorney on Thursday that there is no valid legal basis for Mr. Meadows' continued resistance to the Select Committee's subpoena. As such, the Select Committee expects Mr. Meadows to produce all responsive documents and appear for deposition testimony tomorrow, November 12th, 2021 at 10 a.m. If there are specific questions during that deposition that you believe raise legitimate privilege issues, Mr. Meadows should state them at that time on record for the Select Committee's consideration and possible judicial review. The loss of patience with Meadows follows a string of subpoenas issued earlier this week to some of his closest associates and those he supervised. The list includes his former deputy Christopher Liddell and senior advisor Ben Williamson. So once again, this is another way to keep Trump in the news and to keep beating the domestic terrorism drum, and because this is all shaping up just to be another Trump-Biden election in 2024. But who knows if we'll make it that far? But I gotta say, you may have heard it on the last episode of that I did with Kate. But I gotta say, Joe Biden is starting to move up the ranks as far as my favorite president of all time. I don't know about best president of all time, but favorite, he is starting to get up there. And first off, he definitely did not shit his pants in front of the Pope. Being the good Catholic he is, did not shit his pants in front of the Pope. That is a total lie. Came out of nowhere. It is just simply a story that I want to believe. This one, however, has a little more legitimacy, and you'll see why I'm starting to think that Joe Biden is now becoming one of my favorite presidents of all time. So this is from Politico, Joe Biden's fart and other embarrassing royal moments for Americans. When you meet England, you're not supposed to turn your back on her, presumably in case she steals something. Clearly, when you meet the Duchess of Cornwall, you're supposed to. That's allegedly what happened when Joe Biden met Camilla at the COP26 climate talks in Glasgow, with the U.S. president doing a terrible job at reducing emissions. Dad joke. The Duchess hasn't stopped talking about Biden's fart, an informed source told the Mail on Sunday, in what may be the greatest use of media sourcing in years. Move over, Deep Throat. Here comes Deep Colon. This is a funny little article here. Good job, Politico. Make me laugh. It was it was long and loud and impossible to ignore. The Mail wrote about the art, the breaking of wind, not the U.S. leader. I hate that. Of course, loud and impossible to ignore was how people used to describe Biden's predecessor, Donald Trump, whose surname in British English means, well, fart. Huh. I wonder if that's true. Well, let's find out. Does Trump mean fart? What does Trump mean in British slang? The verb to trump in British English means the same thing as in American English, either one, to surpass or outdo someone or something, or two, to play a trump card. Huh. All right, then. Well, regardless of all that, okay, so this article, Trump himself was no stranger to embarrassing mishaps in front of the British royals, famously keeping Queen Elizabeth waiting for 12 minutes while he ate cheeseburgers, probably, and then claiming it was in fact Her Majesty who was late. An offense punishable by 10 years locked up in the Tower of London, hopefully. Okay. So Trump kept her waiting for 12 minutes, but Joe Biden farted for 12 minutes. I mean, kudos to you, buddy. I'm a big fan. Big fan. Nobody here in America should give two shits about the British royal family ever. We stopped caring about them in 1776 technically, but it was more like 1781 when the war ended, about 5 years, something like that. So anyway, long time since we've supposed to care any shits about the British royal family. So long, loud, and impossible to ignore fart. like we should give him a medal. And I think all these dirtbag world leaders that we don't like, I think he should shit his pants in front of each and every single one of them, because America, that's why. Let's see what else we got here. We got inflation. This inflation deal is where is that article? Okay. So this is, I don't even know where this affiliate is from. Okay, so this is Connecticut, so Northeast somewhere. But this is a local station that popped up on my Google News aggregator. I really don't like Google as a company, but ethically, but their products are, they got the best news aggregator. Their search, as long as you're not typing something too spicy, their search engine's the best as well. And I don't know how you deal with that, or how you fight back against that. But anyhow, how this is from Eyewitness to News, WFSB, the voice of Connecticut, or something. Says Biden forced to get real on inflation of nearly everything shoots up. So I haven't read, I clicked on it from the headline and the fact that it was a local station, or so, but I guess is this just a republish from CNN. Rising consumer prices have quickly become one of the White House's most urgent concerns as Americans grow unsettled at the goods and place the blame on President Joe Biden. The president has convened meeting after meeting of his top economic advisors to debate the matter. And aides now discuss multiple how to address the supply chain crisis and shortages of goods. In his public messaging, Biden has turned away from insisting that inflation is only temporary, something he repeatedly said over the summer. Instead, he has frankly acknowledges that higher prices are obscuring the benefits, like jobs roaring back, wages rising, and the stock market surging, of a post-pandemic boom. Inflation hurts Americans' pocketbooks, and reversing this trend is a top priority for me, Biden said in a statement on Wednesday, except like, inflation hurts, man. Americans. Pocketbooks. The thing, this is, it's a bad deal, man. On Wednesday, after the government reported consumer prices jumping last month. Over the past 12 months, prices climbed 6.2%, the biggest increase since November of 1990. His statement made no mention of the trend being transitory, a description employed by administration officials repeatedly as price concerns mounted. Now, Biden and his team are steeling themselves for high inflation to persist into 2022, posing a major political problem for Democrats ahead of November's midterm congressional elections. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has pointed to the middle to end of next year as when inflation rates may improve. So get ready. Shit is going to get even more expensive. But if you paid attention to the stuff that I've been repeating from Ron Paul and other people that have been good on this stuff, you should have known this for a while, because you can't just create $6 trillion out of nothing and put it into the economy and not expect the value of your dollar or your currency, whatever your currency may be, but in this case, the dollar, and not expect the value of the dollar to go down. But it used to be like the media's, I don't know if they're turning on him yet, but the inflation deal has has got bad enough where they can't turn a blind eye to it. Kind of like the whole Afghanistan deal. They went after him on the pullout, which they should have, but they did it for completely opposite reasons of what most Americans would have. The reasons that they were pissed off about the pullout. But I don't know. They're finally having to face the fact that this inflation thing is kind of a problem, and but of course the solution that they're going to use is to either pump more money into the economy or which of course if you got all that money you might as well spend it. I forgot to tell this little deal on Trump. Going back to Trump, because he's more interesting than Biden, except when Biden's shitting his pants in front of world leaders. And I think he's probably still on a nap from his Europe trip. So, but here we go. This was one. So, like I was saying in the January 6th deal, that they really want all these records. Trump's wanting to invoke executive privilege, and so Democrat appellate panel's release of Trump White House records ahead of Friday deadline. A federal appeals court on Thursday granted former federal pause as he appealed a lower executive privilege. So that's right. There was a federal court that ruled that he cannot invoke executive privilege, and now the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit, 3 judges, it says, 3-judge panel, all of whom were appointed by Democrats, issued the temporary injunction in response to Trump's last effort ahead of the Friday deadline to turn over an initial batch of 46 records, including White House call logs, visitor logs, drafts of speeches, and 3 handwritten memos from Trump's then chief of staff, Mark Meadows. So, I'm kind of disappointed by this one. I know a lot of people on the conservative side are probably, I don't know. You should be wanting to see all the records as well. Like, I understand some of the executive privilege deal, but there's way too much shit in the government in general that we don't know. And I think the more we know about the down and dirty nitty gritty of what goes on, even if it might make our Lord and Savior Donald Trump look bad, I want to see it. Like, show it all. Make them all expose everything they've done in their capacity as an elected official, and I'm fine with that. Speaking of elected officials, where is that? Speaking of elected officials, Pete Buttigieg is not. He is a cabinet member. And Mayor Pete is now Secretary Pete, which, a lot of times one would think that a mayor has a little more, what do you call it? Like, it sounds more powerful. Like, there's more authority with mayor, but secretary in his case is a very powerful position. But typically when you think secretary, you think like taking notes and keeping record, and almost like a little computer, which, if there is any position for a gay robot to hold in the United States government, it would be Secretary of Transportation. Just got a gay robot running all the bus routes, the train lines, the airports, air traffic control, all run by a robot who likes to happen to chug a little dick from time to time, go home and snuggle up with his other. I don't know if his husband is a robot, but might as well be. His name is Chasen or something like that. I'm not. I think it's Pete Buttigieg husband. Chasen, like the Chasten, and obviously he's white, but Chasen, like scold, like to chasten somebody. Yeah, that is the whitest name I've ever heard in my life. All right, well, here is a clip from Mayor Pete, who was asked about the passing of this transportation bill, and it's pretty comical. Built into the roads. It's obviously it's egregious. It is problematic. I think that's the term that is used the most nowadays. It's a very problematic thing that these damn bridge builders back in the 30s, who really hated Puerto Ricans and their giant ass buses, just clogging up the roadways down by the beach. Because, them Puerto Ricans and them blacks, they're way bigger than us whites. And I can say us whites because I'm half white. And I'm not Puerto Rican. So we're talking about Puerto Ricans and blacks here. They're way bigger than us. And I'm also half Mexican. We're kind of a smaller, squatty type people. But the blacks and the Puerto Ricans, they have these giant-ass bodies, so you got to have these giant-ass buses to haul their big asses around. They're just giant people with giant dicks just riding around on their giant buses. And we got to stop that shit, especially when you're going to the beach in New York. So we're going to build these overpasses small enough that they can't get their giant-ass buses with their giant big dick black and Puerto Rican people trying to clog up our beach with their giant dicks. They ain't doing that anymore, and we're building small-ass overpasses. You have to pass over them because you can't get under them. They're too short. Too goddamn short. Let's take that, blacks. Take that, Puerto Ricans. And it's yeah. Oh, sorry, Cody. I thought the audio would play there, but what you need to know is that the roads are racist, and we got to stop the giant ass buses full of giant ass Puerto Ricans and blacks from going to the beach in New York. But no more. Gay robot Secretary Pete is going to undo the racism that is baked into the road system. And he's going to do it with our hard-earned taxpayer dollars that were just allocated for a $1.2 trillion spending bill. And we should applaud it because racist roads are the worst roads. That's a scientific fact. I think even Dr. Fauci would agree with me on that. Racist roads are the worst roads. Next up, what do we got next up? Chasen. What a name. Chasen Buttigieg, I guess is his name. Let me look that back up again. Pete Buttigieg, husband. Okay, so Secretary Pete is a top. His husband Chasen has been chastened to take the last name of, what is it with these Indiana people and all their weird last names? Chasen James Giesman Buttigieg. Oh, no wonder we had to. No wonder that Secretary Gay Robot Pete, who was built by the CIA, might be. I don't think he's a science squanch, but I think he might be product of science squanch. Look at this guy, Chasen James Glesman. Yeah, Buttigieg is an American teacher, writer, LGBTQ rights advocate, and husband of Pete Buttigieg. He's definitely gay. Good for him. Good for him. But hey, no more racist roads. Good on you, Secretary Pete. Sec Pete. The Kyle Rittenhouse trial is been in full swing this week, and that deal is sad. Very sad. But it's also been a little refreshing, I guess, as far as the whole. Well, the judicial process, except for the fact that the judge, he's a real racist piece of shit, you know, and I'll tell you why this judge is such a racist piece of shit, and why, you know, this is just a travesty. This judge, I mean, might be the worst person on earth. Right here, I'll show you. Judge in Kyle Rittenhouse trial makes inappropriate Asian food. Now, of course, this is CNN, because this is where we get all the best news. The judge presiding over the homicide trial of Kyle Rittenhouse confused observers after making a strange and off-color joke inside the courtroom on Thursday. I hope the Asian food isn't on one of those boats from Long Beach Harbor, said Kenosha County Circuit Court Judge Schroeder as the court was preparing lunch break. Very, very problematic. Like, this judge should probably be hung from the tallest tree, maybe even the shortest tree, so it takes longer and he has to suffer for making such an insensitive joke about the fact that Long Beach Harbor is very backed up and he's hungry for some Asian food, and he hopes it's not backed up in Long Beach Harbor. It's a terrible joke. Like, it's not really that funny. And he's a boomer, which, I mean, he should probably be hung for that alone. Just the fact that he's a boomer. And then he's racist, obviously. I mean, he said Asian. He clearly said Asian food. And you know what's more racist than Asian food? Nothing. Not even Adolf Hitler. You say Asian food, I immediately think you're worse than Adolf Hitler. And this judge should not have a job anymore. And Kyle Rittenhouse should be locked up for the rest of his life for murder because of this racist judge. That's what I think. And you should too. Aaron Rodgers made a lot of news this week. I think he's probably a racist too. I haven't looked into the racism angle yet because I'm still wading through all the anti-vax anger, which everybody should be angry about Aaron Rodgers not putting a brand new vaccine that he would be allergic to in his body. That's clearly racism. I mean, well, legally I can't say that, but we all know it is. We all know that's racism. And to show you how racist it is, let me give you a look at the great Gene Simmons from Kiss. Gene Simmons rips anti-vaxxers. If you're unwilling, or if you're willing to walk among us unvaccinated, you are an enemy. Gene Simmons, blah, blah, blah. If you're willing to walk among us unvaccinated, enemy, the Kiss frontman said Wednesday on an interview with Talk Shop Live. I don't care about your political beliefs, the Rock and Roll All Night singer said while discussing canceling tour dates earlier this year, when he and fellow bandmate Paul Stanley tested positive with so-called breakthrough cases of the coronavirus after being vaccinated, and a guitar tech for the group reportedly died. You are not allowed to infect anybody just because you've got rights that are just because you think you've got rights that are delusional. You don't have the right to go through a red light. Actually, the government has the right to tell you to stop. If they tell you you can't smoke in a building, you can't smoke in a building, and that's not because they want to take away your rights. That's because the rest of us hate it. We don't want to smell your smoke. I don't want to catch your disease, Simmons added. I don't want to risk my life just because you want to go through a red light. This whole ideal, this delusional, evil idea that you get to do whatever you want and the rest of the world be damned is really terrible. Simmons shredded both Democrats and Republicans as evil for spreading what he described as all kinds of nonsense. Well, I agree with that, Simmons. I don't like either one of them. Politics are the enemy. Humanism and humanity is what we should be concerned about. Love thy neighbor as thyself, especially if they've been vaccinated. He didn't say that. For God's sakes, if I'm going to yawn in your presence, I'm going to put my hand up in front of my mouth. He said yawning is not a life-threatening event. You having COVID might be a life-threatening event, and I don't want to catch it. So, it's very clear who's in the wrong here, and that's obviously Aaron Rodgers. You're putting your entire team of vaccinated people at risk. And that's not fair to all these vaccinated people who willingly got the vaccine, and you willingly chose to not. That is unfair because they don't get to tell you what to do in that scenario, and that is not fair. You have to take the vaccine. It will 100% save your life from all sorts of diseases and all the many variants of COVID. 100% guaranteed it will protect you. All the time, it will tuck you into bed. Give you a kiss on the forehead. And then keep you safe forever and all time. Until it wears out after 3 months. And then you'll get another one, which will also last forever and all time for 3 months. And Pfizer is doing the right thing here. They are making a ton of money and assuming no liability. And now through a stroke of miraculous good luck and probably a miracle. Honestly, probably was probably divine intervention from Jesus and Buddha themselves that we need boosters every 6 months. So, I mean, that's just a miracle that Pfizer will continue to be able to make money and assume no liability for the foreseeable future every 6 months. It's tremendous. Tremendous, and Aaron Rodgers is evil for not coming along for the ride. It's just evil. I don't know how he hasn't been hung in the streets yet. But I tell you, a guy who should win a medal is he's a paramedic. He is a paramedic who was the victim of an active shooter. Kyle Rittenhouse was an active shooter, according to wounded paramedic. This is from NBCnews.com. Gage Gross on Thursday discussed his reaction to seeing Rittenhouse on the stand. So this Gage Gross, it's funny, is he also had Gage earrings, so it was kind of cute and matched. But his name is spelled Gage with an I. If you haven't seen him yet, you may have guessed it. And yes, he is white. The paramedic who was seriously wounded last year by Kyle Rittenhouse said Thursday he was unnerved by watching his would-be murderer on the witness stand. The man, Gage Gross, the only survival of 3 people Rittenhouse shot on August 25th, 2020 in Kenosha, Wisconsin, watched Rittenhouse, 18, testify in his defense Wednesday and said it was an emotional experience. Well, I think anytime you see your would-be murderer on the stand, it's emotional, Gross said on ABC's Good Morning America. What a world we live in. Rittenhouse sobbed uncontrollably on the stand, prompting the judge to call for a recess at one point. He testified that he was protecting private property in Kenosha and providing first aid before his fatal confrontations with Anthony Huber, 26, and Joseph Rosenbaum, 36. And what they failed to mention is this Gage with an I testified under oath that he was shot basically because he charged at Kyle Rittenhouse with a drawn weapon. And when he stopped and put his hands up, Rittenhouse lowered his weapon. And then when he lunged forward and pointed his gun at him, he got his bicep, and as he said in his testimony, vaporized. He fucked around and found out. This, like I said, this is a sad deal. I know coming back to it, but it's amazing watching the media paint this kid out to be just a homicidal white supremacist maniac. And then you get a picture of him on the stand, and he's like a pudgy, baby-faced kid. I mean, he's just a kid. Look at him. Let's see, I'll pull that up. No, I don't want to get the picture of him, crying on the stand, because it's not a flattering picture, and I'm sure it was traumatic, but he's just a baby-faced kid. And it's just fascinating watching him be made out to be this big bad white supremacist dude. It's fascinating. Anyhow, possible science squanch sighting this week. Let me see if I can pull up. Twitter is always going to be a good place to. Gavin Newsom has been basically missing for 10 days. And so here we go. This is from Matthew Mardson on Twitter. He is an actor, apparently. Never heard of him. He's verified on Twitter, which means he's got almost 57,000 followers. It says Gavin Newsom wants to know everyone else's medical status. How about he tell us his? People of California should demand it. Look, this guy has been missing. He does shit that doesn't make sense. And yeah, he's just missing. Everybody's searching for him. He doesn't want to cut down the trees in California. He doesn't want to graze the public lands in California, or he wants to restrict grazing in these good grazing lands. Well, it's because all of his kinfolk live at the base of Mount Shasta. They are an advanced civilization science squatch, and you know it just as well as I do. Thank you all for tuning in today. Give Aaron shit. He is at Danger the Grouch on Instagram. Make sure you go give him hell and move your ass. We're burning daylight.